I'd like to call the Mentor City Council regular meeting for January 21st, 2025 to order. Invocation tonight will be given by Councilperson Krieger.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mrs. Dowling? Here. Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr. Kirschner?
Here. Okay. Council, you are in receipt of the January 7th, 2025 work session minutes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Okay. And you're also in receipt of the January 7th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling? Yes. Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Okay. All right, tonight to start off, we're going to have a presentation by the Office of the Ohio Consumers Counsel. Angela O'Brien, if you'd like to come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and
Absolutely. Council members, thank you for having me. My name is Angela O'Brien. I am the Deputy Consumers Counsel for the Office of the Ohio Consumers Counsel, and I am here this evening to discuss First Energy's proposed $190 million rate increase that it is currently seeking before the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. But before I get to the details, I'd like to give a little bit of background about the Office of the Ohio Consumers Counsel for those who may not be aware. The Office of the Ohio Consumers Counsel is a state agency. We're an independent agency charged with being the legal advocate for Ohio's residential utility consumers. The agency was established in 1976, and recently, last year, the 5th Consumers Counsel, Maureen Willis, was sworn in. I've been with the agency now for about 6 years and have served in the role of Deputy Consumers Counsel for about 1.5 years. On this slide right here, you'll see Ohio Consumers Counsel's mission. OCC advocates for Ohio's residential utility consumers through representation and education in a variety of forums. And part of our education process is what I am here doing tonight, along with Tanya Stewart-Shaw, who is a member of our Education and Outreach Department. Consumers Counsel's vision for consumers is that informed consumers can choose among a variety of affordable, quality utility services with options to control and customize their utility usage. And now on to First Energy's rate increase, which for you is the Cleveland Illuminating Company. First Energy has filed to increase its electric distribution rates. It's important to note that electricity supply costs are not affected by this case. Now, what does that mean? Distribution is the wires to your house delivering you the electricity. The supply is the electricity itself, or the generation. There's also a third component to the bill, which is the transmission, and that is regulated by a separate agency, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. OCC advocates for residential utility consumers both before the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission as well. So here, for the Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company, First Energy is seeking an increase in the distribution charge of $13.02. This is the highest among the 3 distribution utilities that First Energy has. The impact to an average residential utility consumer for this increase will be about $186.63 per month, up from $173.61. Now, for consumers in this area, this could be a double whammy for for consumers because not only is First Energy seeking a rate increase, also Enbridge, formerly known as Dominion East Ohio, is also seeking a rate increase of about 30%. Now, it is important to note the the Enbridge proceedings are currently ongoing. They are currently in the evidentiary hearing stage at the PUCO, and Enbridge, while it initially requested about a 30% increase, it came back and refiled and asked for a much smaller increase. Both the staff of the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio and the Office of the Ohio Consumers Counsel are recommending a substantial rate decrease. So right now, those issues are currently being litigated at the PUCO, but the thing to remember is that rates are increasing for all utilities, not just First Energy. So that's one of the reasons why we're out educating consumers about the potential increases. The decision process basically concerns OCC, First Energy's rate increase. OCC acts as the attorney for residential consumers. We bring our team of experts to the table, which consists of our attorneys, our regulatory experts, including accountants, engineers, other types of analytical experts who analyze First Energy's proposal and determine how best to advocate for consumers. The 5 PUCO commissioners act as the court, essentially. And the timeline of the rate case can be pretty long. First Energy filed its application to increase its rates last May, and right now we are still in the process of waiting for a staff report from the PUCO with their recommendations with respect to First Energy's rate increase. Where we are currently in the process, we are currently conducting discovery with respect to First Energy's application to determine, to gather more facts about the application. Once the PUCO staff issues their report, we will file what are known as objections to the PUCO staff report, where we make recommendations to advocate for consumers, and that along with that comes with filing pre-filed testimony from our agency experts. And other parties will also be involved in the process as well, advocating for their interests. So as part of that, the PUCO will also hold local public hearings, which is very important because it gives consumers an opportunity to come out and provide comments and testify on the record in front of a PUCO commissioner and one of the administrative law judges who will be presiding over the case, and give testimony specifically about how the rate increase will impact them. Right now, the PUCO has not yet set its local public hearings, but when they do set them, we will update OCC's website to provide that information and get that information out to various city councils and educate consumers so people can come out and comment. There will also be a virtual, OCC has requested a virtual local public hearing. This will be a way for consumers to testify on the record virtually rather than having to leave their home and go to somewhere to testify. During the pandemic, we found that this was an excellent way for people who may not be able to get out and travel, people who have work commitments or childcare commitments, to provide testimony about how rate increases impact them. Now, it is standard procedure for OCC to request a virtual local public hearing in all of our rate cases, and in this case, First Energy actually supported our request for a local virtual public hearing. So that was welcome news. So we're hoping that the PUCO will grant that, and when it is set, we will make that information available. After that comes evidentiary hearings, ultimately a PUCO opinion, and then an application for rehearing process. So it can be typically a long process, so we probably won't expect a final order until later this year. So again, the most important point is getting out and letting the PUCO know how the rate impact will affect you. And part of the reason why we're here today is to discuss how you can participate. So as I mentioned, there are the local public hearings that will be set. Watch OCC's website, or we can also proactively provide that information to council when it is available, so they can alert members of the community. Consumers should plan to attend if they can. The best way to make your voice heard is to actually show up and testify on the record before a commissioner and an administrative law judge. Or hopefully, if there's a virtual local public hearing, testify that way. Encourage others to attend as well. Tell your neighbors. First Energy is seeking a rate increase. It's important to note it's not just the rate, this distribution rate increase. This is the first rate increase they've requested in about 17 years. However, in the meantime, First Energy and other utilities will come in and they will request increases for what are known as rider charges. Through their electric security plan, they're allowed to come in periodically and ask for increases in charges for example, investments in distribution, or for example, in grid modernization. That's another big one as well. So it's not just the distribution rate increase. There are rate increases in between as well. So come out, tell people how this impacts you and how collectively, how all of the utility increases are impacting you. Also share OCC's consumer alert on social media. That is on our website, which is occ.ohio.gov. We keep a wealth of information there about all of the utility rate increases, what we're doing to advocate for consumers. We also keep information about how to participate in the process and make your voice heard. We keep information about lots of other types of issues that are of interest to consumers. For example, marketers, aggregation, things like that. I'm aware that Mentor participates in an aggregation program, so there's information about that if people are interested. You may also send a letter to the PUCO referencing the case number, which in this case is case number 24468 to the PUCO, or you can file a public comment directly on the PUCO's website. Here we have a QR code. It's also on our website as well. It will take you directly to the PUCO website where you may file a comment if you're so inclined. Public comments filed on the website are also part of the record, and that is also a good way for consumers to participate. We're also out asking various councils across the state of Ohio to consider filing resolutions against the rate increase. That is another way to participate. And again, as I mentioned, it's always good to stay informed. We keep fact sheets and consumer alerts on occ.ohio.gov. We keep a wealth of information there about how all of the various rate increases will impact consumers. We also keep information about all of the consumer assistance programs as well. One thing that we've been seeing is that all of the rate increases are really impacting consumers in different ways, particularly consumers who live on fixed incomes, at-risk consumers. So also on our website, we keep information on ways that people can avail themselves of different assistance programs should they need it. And thank you very much for having me tonight and letting me tell you a little bit about OCC and First Energy's proposed rate increase. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Council, any questions at this time?
Mr. President, I have one. Do any of our state representatives, do the state reps or senators get involved at all with these decisions?
Typically not directly. However, OCC does maintain active relationships with various legislative members. We advocate for different legislative initiatives that help consumers. Like, for example, I mentioned before the electric security plans. That's one of the ways that electric utilities in particular are able to increase charges in between the rate cases. We're not, as an agency, we are not a fan of the electric security plan because it allows increases that aren't as thoroughly reviewed as we think they should be. We are actively involved with the legislators and trying to advocate for consumers. However, with respect to this specific proposal, I'm not specifically aware how either the congressional members or the senators are involved specifically with this proposal in enacting some sort of legislation. Now, of course, there are other issues, of course, like House Bill 6. That was, a lot of the provisions of House Bill 6 have been repealed. We are advocating for repeal of the last remaining portions of them, which deal with OVEC charges. Those are also large charges to consumers. Actively involved with the legislature on those fronts. But yes, so hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. We
Oh,
appreciate you coming up today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving
Okay.
forward.
Oh, and also, we have fact sheets over in the back corner as well for anybody who would like them. And yes, thank you again for your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Public hearings, we have none. Two pieces of tabled legislation pertaining to short-term rentals will remain on the table. New legislation. Ordinance number 25-0-001.
An ordinance enacting Section 151.011 of Part 1, Title 5 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Mentor 2006 as amended to establish a nepotism policy.
Joe?
Yes,
Ross.
Mr. President, members of council, this is actually something we started last summer at the request of council leadership. Conducted a pretty thorough review of other communities. Nepotism policies are pretty pro forma throughout the state, as well as legal research into any due process considerations. And so you'll see some exceptions that take into account, for example, not having a policy which conflicts with any existing collective bargaining agreements, those types of conflicts. So with that, it's probably a bit overdue for this aspect of Mentor's Code. I encourage its enactment, and if there's any further questions, certainly can answer them.
Council.
Move to suspend.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Abstain.
Mr. Blake, excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Abstain.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Abstain.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Abstain.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 25-0-001 has been approved. Ordinance number 25-0-002.
An ordinance authorizing a 2000 American LaFrance fire engine obsolete, authorizing its sale to the city of East Cleveland, and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Mr. President, members of council. Council, this is a fire engine that would have otherwise found its way to auction. We regularly stay in communication with departments around Northeast Ohio to see if maybe they may have a purpose that suits their community. It is beyond the useful life of ours. Our fleet has been updated through investment in over the last 10 years. And so the city of East Cleveland has indicated an interest in this. You would know this engine as the big purple one, Comfort 56, which is actually a wrap. So that wrap would be removed prior to transfer to that department. Chief Zach, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Flipiak. Council President Blake, Council. So this engine is a 1954 American LaFrance product, which the company is no longer in business. So repairs become costly. Downtime can be significant. over the last 7 years, as Mr. Flipiak stated, 1154 served as Comfort Care, the lavender truck. It was a project that was developed in 2018, and it's a custom wrap donated by Avery Dennison, MC Sign Company, and Visual Graphics donated the man hours to wrap it. It attended numerous events and was very popular. The tribute was to those who were battling cancer, those who lost the battle, and those who beat cancer. The engine has run its course. It's aged, and it's fulfilled its purpose. So it can now benefit a community in need, and that being City of East Cleveland.
Thank you, Chief.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marne.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
Mr. Donovan.
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling.
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-0-002 has been approved. Ordinance number 25-0-003.
An ordinance approving a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Mentor and the Mentor Part-Time Firefighters Association and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Fowler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Flipiak. Members of council, this is a 3-year extension of the collective bargaining agreement with our part-time firefighters. It mirrors the other units with one exception. In year 3, it is a wage reopener, and it increases the call-out minimum hours paid from 2 to 3, which mirrors the full-time contract, and we recommend approval. Thank you.
Counsel?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman? Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance number 25-0-003 has been approved. Next up is ordinance number 25-0-004.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to award a bid contract to Lenco Industries, Inc. for the purpose of the Lenco Bearcat G3 armored SWAT vehicle and declaring an emergency.
And my favorite part of tonight. I
Thank you.
love that vehicle.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Council, I think, recent events over the past year have reminded us that, no investment is too costly to keep our police and firefighters safe. So this is a vehicle that will do just that in critical incidents where they find themselves in a situation where they have to approach someone who may be armed, who may be firing upon them. Again, we learned that lesson just last year with the mass shooting we had in our community. I'll turn this over to Chief Gunch to offer some comments.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, city opened bidding for the purchase of the armored vehicle on November 8th, 2024, with the bid closing on November 26th. One bid was received from Lenco Armored Vehicles. This bid was for $422,203. The bid came in under the budget amount and met all the specifications listed by the city. Lenco is a reputable company and leader in the armored vehicle industry. They design and manufacture armored vehicles used by police departments and the military, and I recommend approval for this purchase.
Thank you, Chief. This will keep our people safe.
Yes.
Well worth the investment. Counsel?
Move to suspend.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance number 25-0-004 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 25-0-005.
An ordinance consenting to and authorizing the city manager to enter into project agreements with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the LAK SR 283 14.34 deck project and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Swigger, please.
Filipiak. The Ohio Department of Transportation is planning to replace the Lakeshore Boulevard Bridge deck over State Route 44 as part of the LAK SR 283 14.34 bridge deck project. The total project cost is estimated at about $3.2 million. This will be funded 100% by the Ohio Department of Transportation. During construction, two-way traffic along Lakeshore Boulevard and State Route 44 will be maintained. However, during certain phases of the project, the southbound State Route 44 to Lakeshore Boulevard ramp will be detoured to State Route 2, Richmond Street, and then back to Singer Avenue in Grand River. Then the Lakeshore Boulevard eastbound traffic to State Route 44 north will also be detoured along those same roads at times. The project is currently on schedule to be bid in late 2025, and construction is expected to take place in early 2026, with a project completion date scheduled for 2027. The new bridge deck will be modified to include 3-foot-high concrete parapet walls. Parapet walls will have a decorative ashlar stone finish on the exterior. A 6-foot-tall black vandal fence will be mounted to the top of the parapet wall. The existing steel girders will be painted light blue. The new bridge deck will not include a raised concrete median as it has currently. The resulting structure will be very similar to the Heisley Road Bridge over State Route 2. And this legislation will allow the city manager on behalf of the city to give consent to the Director of Transportation to complete the project as detailed in the LPA ODOT-led agreement. It's recommended that the LPA ODOT-led agreement be entered into with the Ohio Department of Transportation to allow them to proceed with the project. Thank you.
Mr. President, also you had, I think you had inquired earlier about the status of the lights on that. Lights are not a part of this project. There are no lights at that location currently, and they would not be installed as part of this project.
Yeah. And we're not going to see Mentor or our seal on that fence up there?
No, it's not included on this.
I know that's, you and I were talking, that's difficult to get past these guys, but it sure looks so great.
Whatever reason, our district is not really in favor of that.
Yeah, but it does look nice.
Agreed.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-0-005 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 25-0-006.
An ordinance accepting and awarding a bid contract to Mark Haynes Construction, Inc. for the Bellflower Meadowbrook Ditch Restoration Project and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President, and I know this is a project that Councilman Freeman will be happy to see finally come forward. Council, we'll turn this over to Mr. Swigger in a moment, but this just is another large project that goes along with our efforts really over the last decade to continue to enhance the capacity and through maintenance and restoration of some of our stormwater system, which includes ditch work as well as those enclosed pipes. Mr. Swigger?
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. 3 bids are open on Wednesday, January 8th for the Bellflower Meadowbrook Ditch Restoration Project. The bid package consisted of a base bid to restore the ditch to its original design capacity. Work will include a removal of trees, underbrush, and sediment from the ditch, installation of rock channel protection at locations, and restoration in the surrounding area. Contractor will be accessing the ditch through city-owned property and through public easements. The 3 bids received for the project range from a low bid of $462,191 to a high bid of $599,810. It's been determined that Mark Haynes Construction of Norwalk, Ohio submitted the lowest bid of $462,191. The engineer's opinion of probable construction cost was $550,000. And a review of the bid form from Mark Haynes Construction indicates it's in conformance with all contract requirements. It's therefore recommended that a contract in the amount of $462,191 be ordered to Mark Haynes Construction. Scheduled final completion date for the project is October 31st, 2025, and the overall project length is about a mile. Thank you.
Move to
Counsel?
suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Ordinance number 25-0-006 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 25-0-007.
An ordinance accepting and awarding a bid contract to Calvary Mechanical LLC for the purchase and installation of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment at Fire Headquarters Station 5 and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President, and again, this is part of our ongoing efforts to maintain our buildings. In this case, this is the administrative portion of Station 5, where, are otherwise known as the Fire Department's headquarters. Chief Zach?
Thank you, Mr. Flipiak. Council. The units are 24 years old. They've been functioning poorly, and we have high maintenance costs. It's been significant downtimes and difficult controlling temperatures during the summer, during the winter, so it's a comfort issue on the administrative side.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance number 25-0-007 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 25-0-008.
An ordinance awarding and authorizing the city manager to execute a bid contract with Zerby Construction LLC for the construction of a water slide at the Civic Center pool and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. We did have some time to talk about this at your previous work session. The administration is recommending that we move forward with this project. I'll ask Mr. Kaminsky to offer some details, please.
Thank you, Mr. Flipiak, members of council. On December 23rd, 2024, 3 bids were received for the installation and construction of the Civic Center Park Water Slide Project for the Parks and Recreation Department. The bids ranged from a low of $2.1 million to a high of $2.5 million. The low bid was received from Zerby Construction, whose bid was found to be in conformance with all contract requirements. Based upon review by the City Mentor Parks and Recreation Department, R.E. Warner and Associates, who is the on-record architect, it is therefore recommended to award contract to Zerby Construction, LLC of Mentor, Ohio. Thank you.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 25-0-008 has been approved. Next is ordinance number 25-0-009.
An ordinance amending Part 1, Title 5, Section 151.12 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Mentor, 2006, as amended, relating to the creation of a new full-time position of staff accountant and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, this would be the creation of a new position within the Finance Department. Ultimately, this would mean the reclassification of 2 existing full-time employees within the department. Mrs. Lingenfelter?
Yes, we are recommending that we reclassify these 2 positions. They are currently senior accounting assistants, and they are doing work as professional accountants, and we would like them to be classified as staff accountants. They are doing the grant accounting, and as you all know, Mr. Grippy's keeping them very busy with the grant accounting, and capital asset accounting, also the contracts bids, the OPWC projects. There's a lot of accounting work. They are degreed accountants. We are recommending that we reclassify these 2 positions.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 25-0-009 has been approved. Next is resolution number 25-R-102.
A resolution approving a grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, providing funding for the new Marina Kayak Storage Building and declaring an emergency.
Ken?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a requirement in this case of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. Generally speaking, this same type of agreement is required by all Ohio agencies when projects are funded through their capital budget, which require them to issue bonds. So essentially, the city provides an interest in this building to the state during the term of those bonds, or a 15-year period, whichever is longer. So we did receive $300,000. This is for the construction of the kayak concession restroom building at the marina. And because it's a property interest, it would require council's approval for us to move forward.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marm?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marm?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution number 25-R-102 has been approved. Second readings, we have none. Third readings, we have none. Manager's report, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item I want to bring, the council is aware of this, but I'd like to use this opportunity to make an announcement to the public. We have two significant appointments within our administration that I'm happy to announce. The first is that Mr. Ron Zach has been named as our city's newest fire chief.
Hey, all
Congratulations.
right, Ron.
Congratulations.
Very well-deserved appointment indeed. And as well, Lauren Vernon has been named as our Director of Public Works, who can't be with us here today. He's licking his wounds for Notre Dame's loss yesterday, but I'm sure he'll be busy when he gets back. Also, Council, the City of Mentor's Hometown Heroes Banner Program returns in 2025 to honor current or former Mentor residents who have served in our country's armed forces. Banners will be displayed for one season from Memorial Day through Veterans Day. You can visit the city's website to download the application form and to get additional information on how to register. You can also contact our Public Information Office at 440-974-5794 to get access to that information as well. Council, the last day for Christmas tree recycling drop-off for residents is next Friday, January 31st. They can still drop off their Christmas trees at Walsh Park, Bellflower, Garfield, and Krieger Parks. Council, because of the extreme cold weather we will be keeping, which is supposed to be even worse tomorrow, we have made our senior center available for residents who want to utilize it as a quote-unquote warming center or a place to stop in and maybe charge a phone if you've lost power, for example, which is frankly our biggest concern during these very cold weather events. Fortunately, this cold weather has not been associated with any type of storm event that would lead us to believe that there are any significant power losses. We're not aware of any in the city, and we have not seen any interest or need, thankfully, in anyone utilizing the senior center for that purpose. But tomorrow will be the coldest day, we're told, and so we will be keeping the senior center open until 10 p.m. tomorrow to act as that warming facility if the need exists. And then finally, Council, we have several new businesses to announce to you. Jet's Pizza at 6854 Center Street. Had one of those Saturday night. I have to recommend it. D&D Meadery at 8659 Twin Brook Road. E&E Angels Learning Academy at 9423 Mentor Avenue. And Abundance Day Center and Services at 7541 Mentor Avenue. So we thank them for their investment in our community. Wish them great success going forward. That's all.
And, you know, Ken, before we move on, I want to wish Bob Zonneville a happy 100th birthday, which is this weekend. I think most people in this community know Bob or have come across him. He's a World War II veteran, combat veteran in Europe, and just great guy all around, and really wish him a happy 100th birthday. That's a milestone.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on.
Oh, Mr. President.
Yep.
One quick thing. Mr. Flipiak, Mr. Kaminsky, excellent event last weekend with the Chill Out. Doesn't seem like Mother Nature cooperates with us very often since it's been like 10 degrees and snow blowing sideways or 50 degrees and ice sculptures melting and it was raining, but it was well attended and it was very nice. One thing that I could offer, I promised a couple of 10-year-olds, I think, 8, 10 years old, that I would bring it up, is that we should have a contest. We have the chili cook-off, but we should also have a contest for the ice sculptures. Who's their favorite? Personally, Darth Vader was mine. But thank you. Well,
I was kind of hoping we'd get Mr. Kaminsky to go down that new slide, but with that.
but thank you for all the help and our volunteers and people that helped put it on.
Okay. All right, moving on. Clerk Correspondence, Julie.
Council's in receipt of some liquor permit requests. The first one is a change in stock ownership for Red Lobster Hospitality LLC, doing business as Red Lobster number 243 at 7744 Reynolds Road. The next one is a new C-class for HJ Mentor LLC, doing business as Prime Food Mart at 8337 Mentor Avenue. And the last one is a new liquor permit for Ohio Springs, Inc., doing business as Sheetz Convenience Store at 7777 Reynolds Road. Council is also in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court monthly report for December 2024. And that is all.
Thank you, Julie. Commission committee reports. Council, you're in receipt of the Municipal Planning Commission minutes from December 5th, 2024. The Board of Building and Zoning Appeals minutes from December 10th, 2024. And the Community Arts Commission minutes from November 7th, 2024. Council, old business. Hearing none. New business. Hearing none. We'll move to persons before council, which we have 2 tonight. When I call you up, I want you to give your name, your address, and realize at the podium you have 4 minutes to speak. So I'm going to start with the first one, Adam Stallhuth. Name and address, please, Adam.
Good evening. My name is Adam Stallhuth. My address is 7418 Hawk Avenue. I am before the council to ask that the City of Mentor recognizes the use of Japanese K-trucks or mini trucks. An example, one here. This is mine personally. K-trucks are small, compact, affordable, versatile, very useful. They are imported from Japan. In Japan, they're used as delivery vehicles, work vehicles, and have a lot of potential to do the same here, hauling lumber, small furniture, tools, things like that. Also would be great as delivery vehicles for Amazon drivers, etc. K-trucks are authorized for use in 19 of the lower 48 states, Ohio being one of them. One of the stipulations in the state of Ohio is that each jurisdiction has to approve their use on city roads. In Ohio, they are approved for use on roads up to 35 miles an hour. They require an inspection, which I have, and like I said, it requires jurisdiction approval. And I am here to ask council to please approve these for use in the city of Mentor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, next, John Ostbury. Name and address in 4 minutes.
Okay. My name's John Osberg. I live at 7417 Carroll Drive. I'd like to thank the city for clearing the sidewalks on Mentor Avenue, and I see along Center Street too, part of Center Street, south of Mentor Avenue. I didn't see that they were plowed, but the only issue I have with that is the timeliness. It looks like they plowed my section of Mentor Avenue sometime yesterday, and I saw the snow plow had to go out in the street in a few places because of obstructions on the sidewalk. So like walking to Drug Mart today, I had to scoot out onto Menor Avenue, which is not a fun thing. That's all I have to say. I mean, I commend you for, clearing the streets, but in a more timely fashion would be appreciated.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.